How old were you during the Coventry Blitz?
I must have been 11 or 12, because I was still at school.
How many people were in your family?
There was mother, my brother, sister and myself. 4 of us. My dad died in the 30s. That's just as well, I'd probably been in the
Did you have an Anderson shelter, or did you use a public shelter during the air raids? What were they like?
Did it look a bit like a pigsty?
No. You could sleep in it.
Yeah.
It was quite big.
It's just like this metal wavy in an arch shape.
It went like that. And then you put beds in. Get beds in.
I think it's one of them.
You went down to step. You could sleep in it then.
Because I found one in our entry.
Did you?
It might have been one. Because it was just like in this corner with tons of leaves growing over it.
That's it, yeah. And you could put things on the top. But the lady 2 doors away, her father was a bookmaker, so he got lots of money. So her shelter was quite posh. It was made of bricks, and on the top it had concrete, really big thick concrete, and I think she had an electric fire on the wall. But her father, George Whale, he got a car. You didn't see many cars about in those days. So he and his wife used to get in their car and they'd go out into the countryside, probably a hotel, where you stood no chance of having a bomb.
All right.
And then they'd come back in the morning, and don't suppose they cared if the house got bombed, because they got plenty of money. They could do it. But Mrs. Hull, Joan, his wife, and her husband, now a little girl was called Joan, he used to go out with his tin hat on to keep guard on things, because if they dropped, when they came home first, they dropped incendiary bombs, which would come down and burst and light up everywhere, and that made somewhere for the bombers to see where to come in, and they would come in with the bombs and drop them where they saw all the lights. And you always knew if it was a German bomb, because their engines used to drum, boom, 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 so you always knew when they were above you, and then you'd hear the bombs whistling down.
How did you feel on the night of the Blitz?
I remember when we had a lull in it, the bombing on that night, I went out, and they used to have outside toilets, so you could come out of the shelter and go into the toilet. And I remember looking out the window, I'll never forget it, and close my eyes now and I can see it, and the sky in town was brilliant red, and just like a wonderful sunset. And according to Ruth, they could see it across the channel. And we got through it.
So where were you that night then?
Well, Mr. Hall used to run up because my dad was dead, so it was just my mum, Howard, my brother, Alma and myself. And he ran up and said, come down to the shelter, Mrs. Tidal. So we used to go down there. Mrs. Hall used to let us go in there. Apart from that, we used to sleep under the stairs, because if you bombed a house, the last thing standing was the stairs. So all the house could go, but you'd be safe in there. We used to have a mattress. We used to go under there and sleep. But most times Jack came up, took us down there, and he did that night. So we were okay. Went on for 11 hours, I reckon, didn't it?
How did you feel the next day?
I expected to come out and find everything flat, but I think it was just the town that took it all. So we were lucky, really. But you'd get up in the morning and you'd get ready for school, and you'd go off to school and off to work, and sometimes there were unexploded bombs that would come down and not go off. I mean, they find them now, these days, the workmen will come across an unexploded bomb. And so you got to school the best way you could. My school was in town, and that was it. That's how you went on. But I don't remember being frightened. You just, you just huddle there and hope for the best. which was okay. But we had another raid before that in October, and it was my mother's birthday, and we had an incendiary bomb come through our roof, bounced off the dressing table onto the bed, set the bed alight. And my mother said, I knew Hitler would send me a present for my birthday. So we had a Christmas tree outside, and Jack got into the house, ran upstairs, opened the window, threw the mattress out, ran downstairs, pulled the Christmas tree out thing. We'd had it for years. Pulled that out, threw all the soil, which you had to put sandbags or sand or something on it to douse the flames. You know, it would hit and then bounce and come alive. So they weren't big things, incendiary bombs. They were just like little firelighters that would light up. And our poor tree was never the same. Put it back in, but it never grew again. And then one night we got up in the morning and we got a cat, and he must have been in the garden eating something, and he couldn't shut his mouth. And when my mother came home from the factory, she used to work in a factory, she wrapped the cat in her apron where she'd been working, and we all trailed after her up Ford Street where the PDSA was. Took the cat up there. He used to look right like I was trailing behind my mum with the cat. But he'd had a bone because the shock of it had gone through the roof of his mouth. But they did it all right, so that was fine.
Mm-hmm.
So that was most of it I can remember, I think.
What are your memories of rationing?
Yes, we had a ration book, and I think you had about 2 ounces of butter for a week, 2 ounces of sugar, a bit of cheese, and meat. You had a ticket they used to cut out your book for your meat. And when you had your sugar, they cut that out, and you were supposed to survive on that. I think we were very healthy in those days, but we didn't have bananas. They had dried bananas, and we had dried egg. Egg was a lovely dried egg. You mix it with water and cook it like that. Dried egg. Great. And a spam.
Could you tell us about clothes that you wore then?
I'd have a school uniform, and I suppose day ordinary clothes. You'd have for school. You'd have a white blouse, and our school colours were pink and like a deep raspberry red. Hideous. And then for when you went to school, you'd wear a skirt or dress and probably a high heel. And we had nylons, beautiful nylon stockings. They were like thistle down, you could do that with them and they'd float. And I had an American pen friend, and he sent me some clothes, a pink jumper, and he put the stockings in the sleeves, which I didn't know they were there till a relative of mine found them, and 2 suits, linen top and skirt. Alma had one, I have one, and like a silky blouse with a flower on it, which I've still got, it's upstairs, and the nylons were beautiful. In fact, we went to a dance one night, and Alma said other girls were watching my legs go round because they couldn't make up their mind. In those days you didn't have stockings. We used to put makeup on the legs, trying to put this brown stuff on. But these stockings, they couldn't make up their mind whether I got something on my legs like a nylon, which you couldn't buy, or makeup. So they were watching my legs go round, couldn't figure out what it was. But they were beautiful, beautiful things, nylons. Yeah, and if you did got some things and you got a ladder in your stocking, you could take them to a shop and they would mend them for you for £0.50. run do the running. That was nice.
Did you have to carry gas masks or anything
Yeah,
like
you had
that?
to have a gas mask everywhere you went. You got this little box with the gas mask in. You weren't allowed to go. And if you went out at night with a torch, you had to shade it so that it didn't. And you were very careful not to smoke a cigarette, because a tiny little pinpoint of a light could be picked up from above, so people didn't. And of course you've got dark blackout curtains to your window, you had to get black material and cover all your windows, and you had to put tape across them in case it got shattered so that the glass wouldn't come in at you. And yeah, it was blackout. Sometimes you showed a chink, you'd hear the warden shout, "Put that light out!" You had to be ever so careful not to show any lights at night. So it used to be dodgy going out at night, looking where you were going.
Did any of your family or friends go to war?
Yes, I had. Eric went to war. Only he was a friend then, young friend. I had two cousins that were sailors. I had one cousin who was in the Coldstream Guards. There was friends of the woman that married him. They were in the ATS. I had a cousin that was in the Wrens, and she ended up being secretary to Mountbatten, who was the uncle of Charles, who got killed in Ireland, Mountbatten. Bill, that lived at home, he was in the army, Royal Engineers. And it used to be nice when they were home on leave. They'd come round the house and we'd make them sandwiches if we could, whatever we'd left over.
Were any of your friends or family evacuated?
No, I don't recall anybody being evacuated. I guess there must have been, but I still went to school. And we used to teach at the same school, so I think it was mostly in London they sent kids away, wasn't it? I wouldn't have gone anyway, leave my mum on her own.
No.
We thought if we were going to go, we'd all go together. Yeah, I want to leave mum. Yeah.
Are there any other memories you would like to share?
I suppose they weren't good days, but we just took it as it came, you know. You got up in the morning and you went to school, and mother went to work, and then about you try and get home to be in by about 6 o'clock, 6:30, because that's about the time they used to come over. You'd hear the sirens going, and that's when we used to get under the stairs, and it didn't last very long. That night it went on forever. Must have been really bad in town. We had a lady 2 doors away. They had a splinter bomb come down, because when we had guns in this town, in the city. One up in town, we used to call Big Bertha, and they used to fire at the planes. You'd have the searchlight going out, and once they got them in the searchlight, then they could shoot the gun. Because from what you shot out the gun, you get shrapnel coming down, the bomb would explode. So that's why the men wore tin hats, because it came down here, it would cut you to the scalp. So if you ran out, you had to really run to get away from anything coming down like heavy metal. And in the morning, you could go out and kids used to pick it up, keep it as a souvenir, bits of metal. And I think there's places around where we go walking around Whitley, there's holes where they must have had guns still now, you can see. And there were hospitals. And you had a lot of Poles came here to live in England. They were amazing fighters in planes. They were mad, you know, they were really trying to get their own back. And you used to meet up. I met one when I went to a dance, and they were good fighters. That's why they're over here now. And there's up in Baggington, you've got in the cemetery. There is all the Poles buried up there that lost their life in England, in Coventry, Polish airmen. Because we went to walk up there with you and Helene one night, and we went, saw the graves there. So you have a certain, like Joanna Lumley with the Chinooks, the one she fought for.
Gurkhas.
They were wonderful fighters, they were Gurkhas. So I think everybody was behind them to stay here. And then you had your clothing coupons. You had coupons for your clothes. And there was a lot of black market. People would sell them for 10 bob. Which was against the law. And you had identity card. I've still got mine. With my name on and where I was living. And you had to carry that in case you got stopped. That's why when they talk about having identity cards, I think, well, I wouldn't need one, I've still got one. So, and I think Eric's got one there. But I used to make a lot of my own clothes, because it was easy to do. Especially when we used to go out singing, I used to make a lot of my own clothes. And, 2 doors away, Mrs. Wamsley, she was a Yorkshire lady, and one night she had a splinter bomb come down on her house, and it exploded, and it cut her head. I think she had to have a plate put in her skull when it had blown her, but she wasn't the same afterwards. She was a lovely lady, but she wasn't the same. She didn't last long after that. And about 4 or 5 doors down, there used to be a shop. We had a bomb on that, because I used to go down and play in the rubble. They had a little shed at the bottom, and I used to go and play in it. And that was one bomb that landed in the street. Took the house out. I think when the Germans going back one night, I think they dropped the bombs round about the outskirts and they killed a cow. It's gone down the field. Because people used to, if you'd got a car, and cars were, nobody had cars, you know, you could walk down the middle of the road, you might see a couple. And a friend of mine, her dad had a garage. And he got this garage full of cars. I used to love to go up there because you get in these cars and the smell of the leather. And it was really posh having a car. He used to come and pick me up and take me up to there. So those people that did have a car, that's when they used to get in and push off into the countryside. And a couple went off in the countryside and they had a bomb come down in the house. So Mr. Hall and everybody that was around, the men, broke out to save her home, and she went mad when she came home. Look at the mess. They'd saved her house from being burned down. She was not grateful. And Eddie, Eric's brother, Uncle Eddie, he was there was a bomb going on. He's crouched down by the back gate, because their house was like that in the front door, and then he decided to move, and as he moved, an incendiary bomb come down right where he'd been, crouching down. Would have gone right through him, killed him.
Yeah.
He went in the Air Force, he did.
Mm.
He was a flying officer, Eric's brother. Went to Canada to train. So that's why he'd have to put down with the cousins and that. Though we didn't know them really then, so we weren't married and that. But yeah, he had a lot during the army, the Navy.